jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. What is up, Internet world, and welcome back to Accelerate. I'm Mike, he's Ian, and today I bring you the glorified Land Cruiser. So if you're looking for Lexus's largest SUV, this is it. This is the Lexus LX600. And if you're looking for the Toyota comparative vehicle to this, well, it's actually built off the Land Cruiser 300 series that we're not getting in North America. But the real question is who are its competitors? Who? Well, we have the Mercedes-Benz GLS, we have the Grand Wagoneer, we have the Range Rover full-size, which is beautiful, I might add. It also competes against the Yukon Denali, the Cadillac Escalade, and some even say the Infiniti QX80, which I don't understand because this is just way better. This is large and in charge. It doesn't have a V8 anymore. It has a twin-turbo V6. Still makes lots of jam. It's very comfortable thanks to this fancy air suspension that you can adjust by dropping it and raising it up by these little buttons here. You can bounce this Lexus actually by dropping it. It does one of these, and I'm totally driving it the wrong way. This is how it's supposed to be driven, because this car or SUV was one of the most popular vehicles to export out of North America into places like Dubai, Africa, and Russia. This Lexus LX600 is so difficult to get. I parked 3 things behind this thing so it doesn't get stolen. And this key, that looks like this, goes with me everywhere I go. Welcome to the Lexus LX600. So with that said, and all that hating for this V6, let's see what it actually does. It's a 3.4 liter V6 twin turbo that makes 409 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque, and it has a 10-speed automatic transmission. I shall turn my mode select to Sport S Plus. There's Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport S Plus, and Custom. I shall leave it in Sport S Plus. I've got my draggy on. I shall take my foot down from here, press the brake, press the gas, and see how fast this thing does. It's apparently 1 second faster than the last model. Foot back in its appropriate position. What do we got? We have 6.22. That is actually really quick. It is, guys, you have to realize, this is an LX600. This is a big boat. Like, it's big, it's boaty, it's squared off. And 6.22 is a fair number. It is not like, it's not terrible whatsoever. It's actually good. I wouldn't say it's ultra fast, because that's in the 5-second range, but this 6.22, I'm vibing with it, I mean, if the old one was like in the 7 seconds, which I totally believe, this is good.
All right, to put that speed into perspective, that is almost as fast as a BMW 4 Series.
Now, it really depends what drive mode you're in. It actually does make a difference. If you drive this in normal mode, or whatever mode you want to drive in, I honestly just drive it in comfort. This is a comfort vehicle. In Sport Plus, it's good, but I don't drive it in normal. I don't even know why they make a normal. This is one thing that bothers me about like car manufacturers. In my opinion, there should only be 2 modes: comfort and like ultra sport all the time. It should always be on like full jam. Having a Sport and a Sport Plus, kind of a waste of time, in my opinion. And normal, like, what are you there for? Eco, let's be honest, there's nothing eco about this thing. It's either comfort or Sport Plus. That's the only 2 modes that they should ever make. And maybe one day they will listen to me and do it. But I think it's like a marketing thing. When you want to buy one of these things, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's got 57 driving modes, just to make it sound like they've spent a lot of time on something. And I totally get it. But really, the reality of life is that this should be always driven in comfort because it is like a baller truck. You just always cruise with it. And the suspension does make a huge difference, like a monster difference. In comfort, it is very smooth, but still has some sort of like ability to read what my hands are telling you. When I go left, it does turn left, it turns right. Of course, it is going to be a little bit wobbly. It is a luxury SUV, but it's very comfortable. This is very comfortable. I like it, man. I like it a lot. I do really like it a lot. So for 2022, the Lexus LX600 is built on the all-new platform, TN GF-A, just like the likes of the Tacoma, the Tundra, and the Sequoia. So if you want to buy one of these Lexus LX600s, there are 5 different trim levels in the US, starting off with the base, then you have the premium, then the F Sport handling, then up from there is the luxury, then you have the ultra luxury. How about Canada? Well, in Canada, it's a little bit different. There's really just one and only with some package options. Starting off with the premium, then you get the F Sport 1, the luxury package, and then the executive VIP package. To the front of the Lexus LX600, take a look at this hood. It's not a flat hood and there's no power dome right in the middle. It's actually higher on the sides. It's high here and high here. They've kind of made this so it can be rounded off. Everything about the front end is very rounded and slippery for the windies. Now, take a look at these headlights. You've got 1, 2, 3 projectors up there, and then you have the DRLs right there. Now, everything about it obviously is focused on this front grille. It spans all the way at the bottom from the lower bumper all the way up to this hood, including this massive Lexus logo, which I find kind of odd. It should be recessed this much. It should be popped out a little bit more. Lots of stuff will get stuck right there, including all this water. This is just a little bit too soft in my opinion. Take the Cadillac Escalade, big, bold, and brunt. Take even the new GX from Lexus. It's big, bold, and brunt. And this is supposed to be big, bold, and brunt, and they just kind of lost their ways thinking they should be an RX when they're not. There are some functional vents though. At least we make up for that. Right here, functional, and same with the other side. And in the future, when this is EV, all these will all light up, just like this bottle. Wow. Now, after having this Lexus LX600 for the week, I can say that there's a narrative going on in the world right now about manufacturers making vehicles that are disposable. And this probably won't be around much longer. And I will say that because it's not really built for the North American market. There's just things about it that just don't really jive with the North American market, except for the fact that it's their flagship vehicle. It's really designed for the Asian and Middle East market. It's not built for the North American market. It's got pieces that'll work, but really the GX that's coming out will probably dominate this thing, in my opinion. Take a look at quality. There's so much good, heavy-duty, traditional quality about this vehicle that the disposable vibe of what manufacturers want to do nowadays just doesn't exist in this vehicle. So there's really no point producing it anymore. So maybe this is the last time we get our hands on this Lexus LX600. Until then, I will tell you that you can get them in 18s and 20s and 22-inch wheels. I can tell you that it does not come with a panoramic sunroof, just a regular sunroof. I can tell you that the way this looks is never going to really change. So that's that. So let's continue on with this color. It's called Nori Green. You've got LEDs over here to indicate and let everybody know when you're turning lanes. When you walk up to the side of it and you have keys in your pocket, you can unlock the doors on the front right there and on the back, because this is luxury right here. Then you have the side steps. You've got mud flaps. Now as I come around the corner where this gas tank is, it requires premium fuel. But let's talk about the back. The back to me is nicer than the front because it is a little bit more squared off than roundy. I do appreciate that Lexus has put in this light bar, but everybody's doing it, but they've changed it up a little bit. They give us 2 individual pieces, so it's kind of different. So thumbs up, Lexus. Of course, you got a rear wiper, it is tinted in the back, and you get a third brake light along with the Lexus logo right there. LX600, pretty obvious stuff. If you're wondering what this tows, it tows 8,000 pounds, which is a good amount to tow a boat, 2 jet skis, a trailer, and maybe a horsey, because you got the money. Front seat of the Lexus LX600. Okie dokie. Great steering wheel, man. This is a great steering wheel. It's a mix of leather and wood, but the wood's in all the right pieces. And it's not this like old man wood. This is a really great steering wheel. Soft to touch, it's nice and small. It's got all the buttons you need. On the left-hand side, all the audio pieces. On the right-hand side, all the car cruise control pieces. You do get paddle shifters, nice. Of course, you do have memory seat, pretty typical stuff. But of course, the big thing here is this 12.3-inch screen. And then the little thing here is this 8-inch screen, which is the weirdest thing ever, because listen to this. Sounds like somebody's playing the piano. Very, very weird. Nonetheless, you have all your HVAC controls down there. You have your drive mode selects, which are basically Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, S, Sport, Plus, and Custom. You do have heads-up display, which is nice and big, which is similar to what this screen is. I feel like this one is the odd duckling. I feel like there's three things going on from a software perspective. These two look the same. This is completely modernized, and this is stuck somewhere like 20 years ago. No idea what this is about. You see, normally this wouldn't happen. You wouldn't be allowed to have this type of technology in 2023 or 2022 when it was launched. Really, it's still pretty prehistoric, to be honest. And the only reason that Lexus can get away with this, or Toyota can, is because this sells so well. And this thing is in such demand in other markets that they can just say, like, we don't care. We don't have to spend any more money to redesign this car to make it to the next generation. We just got to keep the people that want it happy. And that's what they've done here. Nonetheless, you've got storage down here, tons down here. You have heated and cooled seats, 3 increments. Of course, you do have crawl modes. Then I do have, on this side, you have a USB-C, a USB, and then you have a real shifter and 2 big cup holders to hold my Lark. And then the coolest part, right here, you put this here, and this is your wireless charger. And if you're wondering where your air suspension buttons are, they're right there. I hit this button, and then she drops. This is where you have your differentials. And if you're wondering if this does have a rear view mirror camera, well, absolutely does, right there.
Okay, let's just talk about this rear view mirror camera for a second, because a lot of manufacturers have been adding this into their vehicles lately. However, I have never seen it where the rear view wiper goes over the camera. And when I was driving around, I could see the wiper going like this, and I kept thinking a bird was gonna hit me or something. I was like ducking.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I have a button here that opens up the glove box this way, and a button here that opens up the glove box this way. And if you didn't know, this is very popular, like we talked about 400 times in the Middle East. That is why you have something called a cool box. We call it a fridge here, but it's actually called a cool box. Way before I thought about being a fridge. Me growing up, always knew it as a cool box. So let's jump in the third row now. I press these buttons and it pulls all the way up and I can jump into the third row. So let's see how high I have to sit or how low I have to sit to get in this third row. Look at all that fanciness happening. All right, so let's jump back there. Pretty easy to get in. Ooh, nice, good quality seats. They're perforated. This lifts up. It's not the first vehicle I have to do that to, but really soft seats and individual, kind of like cool little airplane seats. Kids would love it back here. So you have all this space. It doesn't feel tight. Now, the only weird part about this is this no panoramic sunroof deal. It's just a lot of headliner, a ton of headliner. And this window doesn't come all the way back. It's pretty small for the size of the vehicle, which probably does hurt a bit of its blind spot sort of, issues. What I do like though here is the fact that you have a handle. You have a safety handle up here for the kids. I've never seen that before, especially in the third row. You have it in the second row, but never in the third row. You do have venting there as well, because of course in the Middle East it gets very, very hot. You don't want the kids to die back here. They do have an outlet though, so they can plug in a USB-C. And I do have a button here that I can recline and decline these seats behind me. Yeah, for the kiddies in the back. They can sit forward if they want, or they can do the lean back. Love and life. So let me show you guys how to access the third row by folding down the second. There's a button there, it beeps twice, it folds down, pops up, and I can get in very easily. And then to put it back down, boom, lift it up all in one motion. Of course it stops here. I pull this handle up and I recline it back. So let me get into the vehicle, put my leg on the side step, hold this handle, not that handle. I lift myself up and I jump in. And when I grab this door panel, the actual handle is rubberized. I really like that. So close the door. On this door panel, I do have one of the 25 Mark Levinston speakers. Actually, there's two of them, one up here, one down there. But 25 speakers, love that, Lexus. I do have sunshades there. I do have a vent. Again, this handle. I don't have a sunroof for the third time, but I do have this big screen, two of them. Now, this thing is Android based, which means I can mirror whatever videos on my phone if I had an Android onto the screen. If I do not, well, I do have an HDMI plug right there, and then I can control it from up here. But I can also control my music. Apple CarPlay, you can control it here. You can also go to FM, AM, all done by these individual screens. I do have headphones, of course, and I can recline these, or I guess pivot these screens. That's pretty nice. Now, as far as the center console, it's nice and big, nice and wide, so I can communicate with people up front. And then I have my vented and heated seats. This has 4-zone climate control, 2 in the back. And then down here, I have my 12-volt plug. I have headphone jacks on either side, USB-Cs, and then of course the HDMI plug like we talked about. But as far as the interior goes, very nice, soft, plush seats. Feels very ultra premium, which was one of the things that I first noticed on a Lexus RX a very long time ago. The quality of the leather is just very soft to touch. But the only thing I will complain about, if I had to complain about something, is the amount of leg room, or you'd expect it to be very big in the back. This third row does have a ton of space, but I feel like they gave people in the third row a little bit too much space, because the second row, not that it's bothersome by any way, there's a lot of space, but I thought there'd be a little bit more space in the second row, especially because that's how I drive, in this position exactly. And I will move this out of the way so I can show you guys, like this is the room I have, which is good, I'm not complaining, no complaints here. But it's just kind of weird. You'd expect a little bit more space. But there's one little trick I didn't tell you. Check this out, there's a button here. I push it and it opens up this center console. That is a little cool trick that they added. Boom, right there. Thumbs up, Lexus. So let's open up the tailgate of this Lexus and show you some buttons. First things first, when it opens up, you have 2 buttons underneath this tailgate. One is to close it and the other is to close it and lock the vehicle. Inside, you have 50 inches of width, which means you can fit a sheet of plywood or a sheet of drywall. However, you have to deal with these bump outs for the inside of the rear tire, so you have to build it up a little bit. Also, if you look at the second row, they're definitely higher than the third row, so you have to build it up to put a sheet of plywood in there. You have almost 7 feet until the back of that center console, which is amazing. Now you have buttons here. These buttons are to fold down the third and second row. However, the second row are just a one-way ticket down, and you cannot get back up. You have to go into the vehicle to pull them back up. The other interesting part about it, just from standing here and looking at this flat floor, which is amazing, it's going to be a bit problematic for people in the third row because they don't have any height. Their knees are going to be basically up to their chest, unless of course you're a child. Now another piece before we jump into the vehicle is the Sequoia has a weird lift right here. This is nice and flat, so if you're looking for a flat floor, the Sequoia that we will show you soon doesn't have it, but this one does. There's the difference. Now, I don't think Lexus will ever change this vehicle again. I don't think that'll ever happen. Because the people that buy this, that spend their real dollars, they don't want to spend all that money on all this crazy tech. They still want that traditional piece that they've always bought out of Lexus. Now, I'm talking specifically to the Middle Eastern and Russian markets. They want the stuff that's, stuff that will not break. You can't really get parts in places that these vehicles end up being in. So they want this to be as reliable as possible. That's why you're going to see this being unchanged for at least the next 10 years. They want these hard HVAC buttons. They want all this stuff. Nothing about this will ever change. Matter of fact, I'm surprised that Lexus even put in this Toyota screen at the top. I would have assumed they just left the old screen because it still sells. Like, this thing is in such demand, guys. This is not a joke. This is like a powerhouse for Toyota Motor Corp. Even though this is a Lexus, this is like a guaranteed way to buy, and like, I wouldn't even say invest your money, but keep your money as safe as possible if you're looking to buy an SUV. This is an investment, man. And I know that like I'm gonna dog this like tiny little screen here with this brake accelerator and your HVAC here, but if this breaks, you still got real buttons. I don't know about this guy though. This guy up here, I don't know about you. I guess you have to throw in tech for 2022, so I get it. I feel you. As far as the drive goes, it's good, it's comfortable. It's not obviously going to be like an X5. You can't throw this thing around corners. It's still a pretty heavy box. So if you're upset they got rid of the V8 and they've put in this V6 twin turbo, it's not getting any better for you. If anything, they're gonna come up with this Lexus with a hybrid version with this pretty much exact same motor that's in the Sequoia. And it's only gonna save you like 1 liter per 100 kilometers. This gives me 16.6 liters per 100 kilometers driving the way I do with my heavy right foot. And the Sequoia you ask, which we have it the exact same week, well, that gives you 15.4 liters per 100 kilometers. Not enough to make that big of a difference. Sort of old school in the way it drives. It's not super refined like you'd expect in a 2022 or 2023 model. It's still like grunty, which I like. I like that piece of it. I think in the future, if they did add this hybrid version, I think maybe, just maybe, it's a hard one to say, they may just put a bit more weight on the bottom of the vehicle just to make it a little bit less topsy-turvy, but even still, man, this is in comfort, and I'm going left and right, and I still feel very planted. It's a heavy vehicle, and I can feel that out of this thing. So that's that on this baller Lexus LX600. I hope you guys like this video, and if you do, please give us a subscribe and smash that like button and share with all your buddies, because, I don't have any buddies. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.